Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Liminal Realms, the podcast about witchcraft, high strangeness, the paranormal, Welsh folklore, and everything weird and wonderful in between. Brought to you by Mickie Ravyn, aka the Liminal Witch. I am so excited to be starting this podcast and to bringing you some amazing guests over the next few months and hopefully years. In this first episode, brought to you on Samhain, on Halloween, on the most liminal night of the year, I'll be talking to my friend Victoria, aka Victoria Folkheart, the Welsh mystic, and we will be talking about a load of amazing things, some of which include Annwfn, Thoughtforms, ghostly encounters, the difference between the Fae and elementals, and so much more. Come and join us on this liminal journey, and happy Samhain to you all. Hey everyone, welcome to Liminal Realms. I am Mickie, aka the Liminal Witch, and I have finally started my podcast. I can't believe that we're here, and this is a great first episode as well. It is coming to you from me and Vic, and Vic is a friend in real life, but she is also a mystic, a witchy woman, someone who loves the weird and wonderful, and I couldn't think of a better first guest. So, hey Vic, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. It's Friday night. I'm
Yeah.
tucked up in my cozy space for a good chat. I'm good.
We've got some really interesting stuff we're going to talk to you about today, guys, and I hope that you enjoy what we get into. So just to start off, Vic, do you want to introduce yourself and just like how you would introduce yourself to people?
Sure, sure. So my name's Victoria. I am, as Mickie said, a mystic. Um, I like to think of myself as a mystic from rice. So that just basically means that I identify quite strongly with being Welsh and being raised in these lands and being raised with these Welsh stories. So even though like I don't necessarily teach Welsh things, I mean I do, it's more about just understanding that anything I talk about is going to be through that Welsh and Celtic cultural lens because that's how I was raised. I'm a sound healer. So that all started a really long time ago when I started doing research into frequency and sound. I've always been a musician, low key. Um, and it sort of progressed from there, really. Yeah, so now what I use is a combination of sound healing and frequency principles together with self-hypnosis techniques and archetypal and astrological work in order to access parts of the subconscious and soul memories that we otherwise might not have access to if we're not able to access altered states of consciousness.
Mm.
So, altered states of consciousness is my jam, um, but completely self-induced. So I don't use any external stimulus when it comes to that. So, psychedelics isn't really my jam. It's not something I've never even had a hero dose of
Mm.
mushrooms. I've had a microdose, but never
Oh
a
God, me
hero
either.
dose. Yeah, I truly believe that you know, these things are like tools to show us what things feel like in order for us to be able to replicate and to produce those feelings from within.
Mm.
So they're very much, in my eyes, teachers in that way. And I've gone off on a tangent. Tangent, you only asked me to introduce myself.
No, we love tangents. We love them. That's the whole point. And I think, yeah, a lot of what you do is quite intricate. It's a little bit more nuanced than just saying that you're a mystic, so giving a bit more context, definitely just
Yeah.
the vibe. Vic is a very interesting person, guys. She's one of the strangest in the best way people I've ever met in real life, and I'm just really excited to have you peer into what the sort of conversations we do have are in this episode. And
Mm.
that really brings us on to the first question, actually, in a sort of roundabout way. There's another label you'll occasionally use for yourself based on your experience, and that would be the label psychic. What I really want to ask is, what does it mean to be psychic for you? And other people in general. And in tandem with that, why is protection magic and protection so important when you are a psychic?
Whew, talk about loading a question.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, it's good, it's good. Okay, so for me, being psychic came at a very young age, and it wasn't a pleasant experience
Mm.
because my psychic intuition really got switched on when I was about 15, which is a typical age for,
Oh, yeah.
teenage girls is a big thing. And I was in quite a violent and abusive relationship, and I learnt very quickly to read the energy of a room. It was a matter of potential life and death for me to be able to read the energy of a room, to be able to read somebody's micro expressions and, make an educated guess as to what they're thinking. And I know that happens for a lot of people as well. The issue with that, and it does seem to be quite a big trigger for people, is that those psychic senses, because they're turned on in an abusive situation, they can almost become a little bit tinged. And
Mm.
so fear can really interfere with receiving messages that are clear, concise, and accurate.
Yeah.
And this is the beautiful thing about being human, and what sets us apart from other creatures and beings on this earth is that we have the ability to create emotions from nothing.
Yes.
So we don't necessarily need an external stimulus for us to produce a particular emotion. We can do that just by recall of a memory,
Yeah.
and when you are practicing psychic, you can do that at the drop of a hat because you have to. And that is where protection comes in for that. And psychic protection for me really comes down to being able to process and manage one's own emotions,
Mm.
because it is those emotions that determine where in the psychic realms you're going to end up, or
Ah.
what in the psychic realms has access to you.
Yeah.
So if you think in terms of thought forms and egregores, these all require a focus of energy on them in order to grow and in order to take on a level of consciousness that is of their own.
Yeah.
So in my eyes, it's fundamental for a psychic to be able to process and control their emotions in a particular way. I worked in mental health, like in frontline services, for about 11 years, and spiritual psychosis is a real thing. Being able to manage one's emotions is what sets the psychic apart from the psychotic. At the end of the day, these things can snowball very,
Yeah.
very easily. And the other part is as well that it's not that we don't talk about it.
Mm.
We do talk about it. I know you and I have had this conversation before, and I've had this conversation with many other people, but sort of like in the online realms, there's like a little bit of a wash over these subjects,
Mm. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
which I can't help but think is potentially intentional from certain bodies that have their bots and their whatever on the social media, all designed to create divide and chaos, and which at the end of the day is magic as well.
Yes.
Chaos magic is what these people work with.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit whitewashed, I think, sometimes,
Yeah.
because it's hard to talk about. you know First of all, like in the society and the societal construct that we live in today, and the way that we're conditioned to think and to feel and to behave, and all these things all contribute to the fact that we whitewash this, because
Yeah.
nobody wants to be accountable for themselves. Like, nobody does. I don't sometimes. I'm like, man, just let me eat this piece of chocolate and not be accountable for all the crap that's in it, all the crap that went into making it. Like, sometimes, we're human beings, we are fallible.
Yes,
If
that's true.
sometimes it's okay. um but yeah, there's a certain amount of not wanting to take accountability for the emotional outbursts that we have. And also, anxiety is bred. This is the flip side to it. So on the one side, we are able to produce feelings of love from nothing. We can
Yes.
think of something that we love, and we have that feeling of love washed through our body. Ultimate protection, by the way, for any psychic work. I know it sounds like a cliche, but sometimes a cliche is a cliche for a reason,
Very true.
And love is definitely one of those things. That frequency, that bandwidth of emotion, love, joy, gratitude, compassion, these are all protection frequencies.
Mm,
If you can
yeah.
surround yourself, if you can fill your aura with that frequency, it's very hard for anything else to get in that isn't matching that. So on the flip side of that, that is a beautiful thing. But also we have anxiety because again, we can produce emotions from nothing, from
Yeah.
memories, from all sorts of triggers. That is, for me, what being a psychic means. That is the constant day to day. That is the bare bones down on the ground level, for me, what it is. Science, like anything else, can be used for good or bad, you know?
Very true.
And so how we choose to interact with these things plays a big role in all of this as well. But the other thing as well, so two things actually, is one, once you open that door, there's no closing it again. You might, if you're lucky, be able to limit what comes in,
Hmm.
but being unconscious and unaware of how these things will work doesn't make a person immune either. And
Yeah.
so, when I mentioned things like thought forms earlier, a thought form is where mob mentality begins.
Yes.
You have a group of people that one by one in sequence have the same very strong emotion, and that creates a thought form. And then if more and more people feed into that, it becomes a force of its own. With that being said, I also think it's important that once you have turned that light on, because you become a beacon for all of these things, once you turn that light on, it's important to just make sure that you know how to protect yourself as best as you can. And you better start doing your shadow work
Oh, oh,
because
shadow
they're
work's a
gonna
big
come
one.
out, you know? They
Yeah.
they they are gonna come out because anything that is out there, like any spiritual being, it's just they're attracted to strong emotion.
Yeah.
That is why I think protection is really important. Also for practitioners like ourselves, and we put ourselves out there, and there are many eyes on us.
Yeah.
Even more reason, I do not get up in the morning before I cast protection around my house, and I do not go to sleep at night until I cast protection around my house. It's all very much working with energy, but
Yes.
that is what our reality is, and just because we can't see it or, touch it doesn't mean it's not there.
Well, I fully agree with you. I'm always banging on about protection magic, just generally. Like I'm a
Mm.
member of the Jehovah's Witness knocking on the door. Like I'm always just going on. So I agree with you fully. When you mention thought forms, though, that's what people think the Men in Black was. Some people, don't they? They think it was a thought form that reflected the fear of the alien crashes and sightings.
But I didn't know that
Oh
actually.
no! Oh my God!
No,
Oh no! I only bring it up now just because it went with what you just said. But I can't
no,
believe
I'm
you didn't know that.
interested.
I don't know how
Yeah.
true that is, but it's a belief that I've come across that some people think that that's what the Men in Black was, whereas if they were actually real or not, well,
Or did they start as real, but they only did a couple of operations, but it was enough for the rumor to spread,
yeah,
and then for
yeah,
people's
something,
energy to be fed into that, and then they became a thought form. This is
yeah,
the argument I make, right? When people talk about like Welsh deities. So
ah,
like there is no historical evidence, no leftover shrines, no manuscripts or anything like that actually say Rhiannon was a goddess,
Yes.
Elidwen was a goddess, But I mean, first of all, that doesn't mean they weren't, you
No.
know. But more importantly, whether they began that way or not, at this point, enough people worship them as if they are.
Yeah.
And so, at the very, very least, we're dealing with a thought form or egregore,
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we are dealing with a deity. My point is, they exist.
I agree because I think all deities, even the most well-known, well-revered, they all started off as an idea or a story, didn't they? And
Mm,
then over time they took on this bigger power, this bigger presence. So yeah, I think goddesses and deities and gods, they can quite literally come out of nothing and turn into something huge. So I fully
yeah.
agree with you.
Especially when you think like in special sites of worship and such,
Yes.
like the emotion that are fed
Mm,
into these energies. People go there when they are grieving. People go there
yes.
to get married because they are so in love. These are the extremes of the emotional
Yes.
spectrums, This, I mean, it's the perfect soup, you know?
Perfect soup. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. That's so true. And I think that's just beautiful because then it just goes with like, it's like culture is just a living, breathing, conscious thing,
Mm,
So
yeah.
we're evolving it together collectively, even if we're not consciously aware of it. And yeah, something might not be a deity or a goddess potentially back in the day, but it is now because there are enough people just feeling those intense emotions. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love that. Going more on the psychic part though, as you yourself are a psychic and you do a lot of work with psychic development and awareness, you kind of answered it already, but to go into a little bit more detail, what advice or recommendations would you give to others who may just be starting to develop their psychic gifts? Because I'm sure some people who are watching this are probably really, really freaking confused, and to have that
Yeah,
help might
okay.
be beneficial for them.
So first things first, you lay your protection down.
Mm,
So I mean, a lot of people, I think it's easy for us to forget sometimes. I know that I forget because it was, such a long time ago for me. But if you are right, you know, right at the very beginning of it all, is you learn how to create feelings of love and joy, gratitude, compassion. And I mean, like, actually learn how to not just feel them for a moment, but to
mm,
grow them within you so that it's like they start as a moment where you feel something and then you grab that moment and you just try and build on it and build on it. And it might be difficult at first. Maybe you can only, muster a second or two at first. And then maybe it's like 3 seconds or 5 seconds. And then, over time it's like anything else. You have to practice. Another one is to throw your energetic roots down, ground your body, your spirit, your soul into this earth so it doesn't go floating away anyway or hold out or anything like that. So those would be like my two main protection, keeping you in this realm, keeping you safe, a nice filter around you, protection. The second one, sometimes people come to group and sessions and they don't visualize things so well.
ah, yeah.
So, 2 points to that is the first one is some people don't, some
Yes.
people just don't. And we have clear senses, psychic senses, the same as we have physical senses. For me personally, clairvoyance is actually something I have to work on. Like every few weeks, I have to go through a little bit of training, which I'll share with you in a moment. It's just a quick practice. But it just keeps you fresh and yeah. But my main clay is audio. I'm
Ah,
so which makes sense. I'm a
of
sound
course.
healer. I work with frequency. Like you tell somebody you hear things. Whoo, what's
Oh,
really like people start
ostracized.
suddenly taking a couple of steps back. Yeah, I hear voices. So it is a tricky one. Like as somebody who works in mental health for a really long time, I mean, I'm pretty good at recognizing when somebody's on the cusp
Yeah.
of, okay, you need to take a step back. Because, yes, hearing voices is not always a good sign. And we need
No.
to be aware of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll come back to that in a bit, but back to the original point. Some people visualizing just isn't their thing. Smell is a really strong psychic sense, as is touch and feeling. So you can be clairsentient, where you feel things, claircognizant. So that's my second strongest one. No, actually, it's probably the other way around. I'm claircognizant first, clairaudience second. But claircognizant is just, it's very instantaneous. Like there's no interference from the mind. It usually comes from the heart and it's oh, I just know the answer. And
Yeah.
it's that one, I believe, is my strongest one because I learned to know when somebody was lying about how they felt because of
Yeah.
the abusive situations I found myself in as a young teenager. So, yeah, it's not everybody visualizes.
No.
That said, it is a really useful one to have.
No. I know.
So, for anyone who struggles with it, but they can see stuff in their mind's eye, but they can't hold the image, yeah. So there's a practice that my teacher actually taught me. So we had a key ring with different colored ribbons on it, but you can
Ooh.
do this with anything. And I would hold, say, the red ribbon in front of my eyes, and I would look at it for 5 seconds, and I would close my eyes, and then I would try and hold that image for 5 seconds. And then
Uh,
as soon as the image begins to fade, I open my eyes, look at the thing, close my eyes, and try and hold that image. And the more often you do that, the longer your focus is. Also really good for developing your attention span
yeah,
because
nice.
it's all about practicing how to focus on one thing and one thing
Mm.
only. And it is a difficult thing to do. We're not, again, we live in a world where everything's instant, go, 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 instant gratification, short form content, it has to be
Yeah.
kept short and it's got to be attention grabbing because apparently people's attention span is 0.7 seconds now. So honestly, even if you're not working on being psychic, you should do this anyway. So I would say two main points: do your protection and just do the exercises that are not always that fun, but
Yeah.
they're very rewarding when they start to pay off, and they do pay off. They do.
Yeah. It's like training a muscle in a way,
Yes, that's
really.
exactly what it is like. You can't go to the gym, once a month and expect to see instantaneous results,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing.
Yeah. I wish you could go to the gym once a month, but
Oh,
but
jobs are good.
oh, it'd be so much easier. So, with your psychic abilities, you must have had some. Well, I know you've had some crazy experience. I'm saying that like I don't know. You've had some crazy experience, some maybe inexplainable experiences to people who live in the more mundane without stepping into the magical and the whimsy. Something interesting that you and I have spoken about in real life conversations is your personal distinction between the Fae and elementals or nature spirits. I'm sure other people do this, but you have quite a specific or unique sort of way of differentiating them. Would you be willing to share that distinction now and what makes them different and why you've come to that distinction and why you think that?
Oh, okay. So, not everyone may agree with this, and that's fine. I've come to this conclusion based on my personal experiences and also research into the historical mystery schools and some of their teachings, and just some things that didn't make sense until I put them together and then they made sense,
Yeah.
those sorts of situations. But for me, in a nutshell, the Fae are human ancestors that were less dense than we are, and so we're still more closely unified with the energetics of the earth than
Mm,
we are today. because they were still densifying and separating from the earth at that point. So you can think of these as like your Atlanteans, Lemurians, and I always forget what they were called before that, but there is a name for the ones before that. But you can sort of think of the Lemurian race as being like of a lunar consciousness. So
Mm,
lunar consciousness feels and reacts based on stimulus around it,
right.
whereas solar consciousness, which we're in now, works from the inside out instead of the outside in. So it initiates rather than reacts, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. And then elementals are the ones that look like fairies, you know, or they're like, they could be thought forms. I'm not going to sit here and claim to know what each one of them are, but like, if I was to put it in terms like um, the Cobleni that
My
famously hang
favorite.
out in, yeah, that hang out in mine shafts inside the earth, I would consider them like elementals of the earth.
Ah, yeah.
And so when the miners, like they probably existed there anyway. So elementals are essentially formed from repeating patterns of energy. I think personally, this is where animism comes from, is
Okay.
that everything has a spirit
Yeah.
because everything has an elemental attached to it.
Ah,
Because these things are things like like the way the grass grows, it always grows that way. And
yeah.
so that's a repeat in energetics that's
Mm,
been going on for billions of years and has plenty of time for a focused little ball of energy
yeah.
to be formed from the buildup of that energy, that repetition again and again, and building and building and building over, billions of years. And
Yeah.
so we have little grass elementals, you know? And like I know it sounds a bit nuts, but this is me.
No,
This is
that's
how I work.
great.
And so far it's working for me. But yeah, so like the cobbler and I possibly existed already. And then when the miners went into the earth, and again, it's like we were saying earlier, like there was a rumor and somebody heard
Yeah.
knocking. And then all of a sudden, like everybody's aware that there's something else in these tunnels with them.
Yeah.
And then you've got feelings of joy and wonder for the unknown. You've got feelings of fear for the
Mm,
unknown. But all of these emotions will feed into that energy. And
yeah.
so then it's almost like they get a super boost.
Yeah.
And and so then they start to take on their own level of consciousness after a certain point. Don't ask me what that point is. These are all very much theories, but I don't know, they sit right with me and they feel good for me right now. And if I change my mind in a few years, I'll let you know. But right now, this is where I'm at.
Yeah. No, no,
And
I love your Fey and elemental theories, and I just like I want more people to hear them because before you said it to me, I'd never considered the difference between the two, and I think it makes sense. There's still some of it that it needs to digest for me, I think, but it's
let me
such
give
a
you a story.
oh yes,
So there's a story from the Tuatha Dé Danann in Ireland, in Ayr. So the story goes they were being invaded
mm,
and they called upon the Druids of North Wales to help them keep the invaders out. And those Druids apparently manipulated the waves of the ocean to stop the boats coming in. And then the story goes with the Tuatha Dé Danann that they retreated into their mounds the end of their story,
yeah,
and that's where they still reside today. What if that was one of the last Lemurian tribes?
ah
And
yeah,
what if instead of choosing to keep living alongside of the new human
mm,
and and continuing down that evolutionary path, they decided, no, we like being this connected to the earth. We want to stay this way. And so they went into their mounds where they could stay that way.
yeah,
And the new humans and the humans that were left kept evolving, and they got denser and denser, and then you're heading into the Atlantean period, where again they had spiritual technology. You
Yeah.
know, the Two-Eye Stone, which is apparently the great crystal that destroyed the earth, that was a spiritual technology. It was apparently initially created in order for human souls to be able to easily communicate with beings of the next stage of evolution.
Okay.
So if you were to think of like spirit guides or even angels, these higher beings, part of their mission in order to keep evolving is to help us in our evolution, because
Yeah.
they used to be us. So it's like a whole chain, so basically they were using spiritual technology, you
Yeah.
know they were using technology that was initially designed to speak to other realms, and as it just worked out that humans kept getting more and more dense, and they were more and more interested with the physical realm.
Ah,
And
yes.
so that's the way that their evolution went. And now here we are today. And if you think of things like CERN and the Hadron Collider
Ah,
and
yeah.
some of the
Yeah.
theories around like black holes, and there's some stuff going on that we're just not privy to.
No.
you know but I fully believe that there are certain sects of people, and certainly people today, that are having these memories that are from their soul come up, because we're heading into the next stage again, you
Ah,
know,
yeah.
and so we need to remember the lessons and the experiences from those other lifetimes in order to make an informed decision, if nothing
Yeah.
else. But then obviously there's always going to be people who are going to not be on board with that and
Yeah.
maybe want to keep humanity where humanity is right now, you know?
Yeah.
So it's that great polarity, that nuance, that you can't have one without the other.
Ah,
Yeah,
yes. Duality. We love her and we hate her,
me too. Me too.
but she is
But that's why
essential.
I think, yeah, the Fae and elementals are kind of different things. And it was funny as well, in like part of my personal journey, I saw a problem that maybe again some people are not going to agree with, in spiritual groups wanting to recreate, rituals and practices of ancient times and stop there, to
Ah,
only recreate what was of that time and to
yeah.
not move forward with it. And to me, that's like stopping, you know? Stopping means stagnating.
Yeah, oh, yes. Yeah.
When I started doing this work more out in the public, I wanted to encourage people to bring their own experiences and their own values into their personal practices. We are living in a time where it's important to acknowledge and embrace our unique individuality, while still being able to hold ourselves and our uniqueness within a collective,
Yes.
where we respect each other and love each other for our unique individuality. And so we live in a collective, in a harmonious collective. So I don't think it needs to be one or the other. I think we're
Yeah.
literally in a time where we're supposed to be integrating both. So yeah, I was a bit concerned about, people wanting to just recreate history and not move forward with it. And then the more things started to click, the more I realized, again, even I was being sucked into a dogmatic way of being. And spirit was like, "You do realize you work with the ancestors anyway." And I was like, "What?" Sorry to be mocking. Sometimes that's how they speak to me. It's like, hey, you do know. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, they were like, you do know you're working with the ancestors anyway, like those fae, that those beings. And so for me personally, going back to are they deities, are they archetypes, are they egregores, what are these Celtic and Welsh characters? Some of them, for me personally, are those Lemurians. And her horse that just saunters around but can never be caught up with, and her magical bag that can never be filled, and Ceridwen, who's like literally a channel for creation energy. Like these to me sound like the Tuatha Dé Danann, like the Lemurian mythos.
Yeah.
They sound like those fae beings that are still very much connected and part of the Earth's energetics, and they're able to work with it on a much closer level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I agree, to be honest. And you said about how people are so keen to just do like the ancient rituals and things, and it just made me think about like embracing modernity too, in the sense like again it just really is echoing what you're saying. I do think that we really should have the bridge of the ancient and the modern. Like we are the modern and we're making it now, and whoever's coming in 100, 200, 300 years, they're going to want to know what we were doing, not just what they were doing before. So we need to pave the way based on the teachings from the past, but we still need to integrate it with what we're doing now. Like people, this seems to be, I've noticed in the spiritual community, especially online, just a weird stigma for the modern world, like it's inherently bad. Obviously there are bad parts, there's lots I don't agree with and you don't agree with, as we both
Yeah.
know, but the modern world itself, there's nothing wrong with it as a thing. It's just what we choose to do. Because back in the day, like, and in ancient times, we can romanticize as much as we want, but there was still strange sacrifices going on and like
Yeah.
odd, dubious things too. Is it That's part and parcel for any time period, though. I don't think it's fair to say anyone is inherently bad.
No, and it's definitely orchestrated that way.
Yes. Oh,
Because
yeah.
if you can convince somebody that the reality, the timeline that they are living in is wrong,
Mm.
that causes is disassociation.
Yes.
And
Yes.
what that causes is chaos. And there we are back again, chaos magic. This is exactly, what they want you to do.
Yeah.
I say, don't give it to them.
No,
Oh,
no.
no.
We can make
We can
this
do
time
both.
good. We can control the narratives. No, I fully agree. Yeah, it's all a bit weird. It's all a bit strange.
That's not to like bypass the atrocities, like
Oh
absolute
God, no. Yeah,
atrocities that are going on in the world right
no,
now.
not at all. Yeah.
And this is something that again part of psychic work. Personally, like I used to be an empath. I am still an
Me
empath
too.
if I choose to be that way. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
But when you are an empath and you don't have the ability to alchemize empathy into compassion, you
Mm,
become just as enabled as the person you are empathizing with. If you
ooh,
are empathizing with somebody, you are feeling what they are feeling.
yeah,
And while that is helpful to understand what somebody is going through, you have to alchemize it into compassion if you're actually going to be able to help somebody.
yes,
You can't help somebody. You put your mask on, yeah. You put your when the plane's going down, yeah. How are you going to help
yeah.
somebody if you can't breathe? How are
No,
you going to help somebody else put their mask on if you haven't put yours on? And it's the age old thing, with pouring from an empty cup. It's a similar thing. If you're constantly empathizing, you're constantly pouring.
yeah,
It's compassion. Compassion is the one. Empathy is a beautiful thing for understanding, but it is not helpful when you want to actually change things.
yeah. No, that's so true. That's quite an important bit of advice, I think. Like for anyone listening, I think maybe like I have it sometimes where I have the empathy and I don't know what the hell to do with it. So I'm sure that
Mhm.
will resonate with a lot of people. Definitely
Yeah.
resonates with me. But
It's just about being able to turn it into compassion. I'd love to tell you how, like, mechanically that is done, but it's very much an internal process that can be
yeah.
different from person to person. You know, um, maybe I'm lucky in a lot of ways, I don't know. Maybe I think people who have got experience with disassociation are probably going to be better at it than other people. But in
Mm.
that instance, then just got to be wary that you're not just disassociating.
I
It is.
disassociate a lot.
That.
Or depersonalize, I think, a bit more. Yeah, knowing how to harness that because it can be very powerful.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wish there was a manual for that. Yeah.
I know.
But every person's different as well, and one might work for one person, might not work for the other, and it's all a unique blueprint
Mhm.
for us all, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of goes with like weird and wonderful things. So I'm gonna redirect you now.
That's okay. No,
There's one thing I personally love talking about, which I know you do too, which is a big reason why I wanted us to like record something together, is high strangeness. People who follow my page and follow yours probably have the sense of high strangeness. But this is a question that is about that and astrology, which, for those who don't know, Vic is very much into astrology. She helps me with a lot of things because I too am into astrology. I just don't have as much experience or knowledge. So this question, it's a bit of a it's a bit of just a like, I think, a chance to go on a tangent, really. There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just very keen to hear what you think, and please go as in depth as you want to. Let's talk a little bit about astrology and high strangeness slash the paranormal. So do you think there's a connection between these things, like specific sightings and events happening around astrological times, or just generally, what are your thoughts on this as a topic?
Okay. So the short answer is I definitely do think there's a correlation. I can't tell you exactly how it works, which bugs me
Yeah,
because that's my thing. As a mystic, like, I like to be able to explain how something works.
of
Like, I can
course.
tell you how the human soul like moves through spheres and evolution and what that has to do with like other dimensions, but it's a tricky one, right?
Yeah,
There's some information that I think is really like deeply hidden
yeah.
from public, but also that when you see it, you can't unsee it either.
Mm.
So I'll pick one example out of the ether, the Super Bowl. Let's just call it what it is a second. The Super Bowl ritual. Like, that is some ritualistic shit.
In a just.
But like, even like Katy Perry a few years ago did one where she was on the lion and she was literally depicting Babylon, like
Ah,
literally.
yeah.
And then even more recently, so assassinations is a big one.
Yes.
There was an assassination during the eclipse portal this year, and
Ah,
it was
yeah.
very public and it was very bloody. You know, going back to what we were saying earlier about emotions and like particularly high intensity emotions and
Mm.
what those emotions do. They have the power to open portals, and death and birth opens portals regardless of who's there. It doesn't care who's watching, that portal's open, you know?
Yeah.
So to have, a very public passing, I'll say. So the way I work with astrology, like, I absolutely do think that astrological points and dates and events and transits and what have you influence what's going on.
Yeah.
So the way I work with astrology is very much for ritual. When I do ritual, I will work with the energies that are available to me based on the astrology of that day.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, that's the difference between swimming upstream, swimming against the current and swimming with it. You'll still get to where you want to go, but one way is a lot quicker and easier. I also believe that there are certain points on the earth. Uh,
Mm.
Now, I do believe that these points move. And again, I can't tell you why. It's just what I think. Something that I found very interesting anyway. So last year, or maybe the year before, I did a bit of a personal pilgrimage back to the place where I was born.
Mm.
And so I was born just this side of Hadrian's Wall up north, and then was very quickly brought into Wales. That line, so I had to do a job in Glastonbury the day before I was leaving. So I started on the micro line and then I went up from there following. So there's like 9 major, generally accepted major ley lines that all meet in the center of Britain. And
Yeah.
in the center point of all these lines meeting is, can you guess? A stone circle.
Yeah, of course. Of
So
course.
it's called Arborough, if anyone wants to look it up. Aborlow, like literally the way it's said, Arborough. And it's very old. It's not, doesn't look like it's been upkept. It's on some farmer's land. By the time I landed there, it was summer solstice, and I was expecting
Oh.
it to be full of people, and it just wasn't.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, it was.
That's
I would
weird.
recommend people to visit there. There's
Yeah.
something about there. But anyways, so as I was doing this, it turns out these 9 lines that all meet at this center point. I was born on this one.
Yeah.
My husband was born, so my husband was born in Bangor, and there's a ley line that runs through Bangor right across and again meets at this point. So he was born on that line. My eldest was born on the line that goes up like that, and my youngest was born on the so my youngest was actually born in Sweden in Ystad, which is already an ancient pilgrimage site in
Yeah.
Sweden. But if you follow the ley line down from there, it goes through Lindisfarne, which is the place the Vikings first landed,
Ah,
and goes, yeah, and then joins this line and meets in the middle. So every single one of us was born on a completely different line, but
wow.
they all meet in the middle.
That's so
So
trippy.
yeah, if you think about things like ley lines, I mean, if you zoomed out, so you zoom out and you can see our little blue marble, and then you zoom out and you can see this galaxy, and then you zoom out again and there's this whole universe, but then you zoom out again, you know? I mean, it would be silly to think that there isn't energetic lines that run through these
Yeah.
galaxies and things like that. So, and then look at things like Hellier, it's still
Oh,
coming out. We're talking, it's still
oh
coming
God.
out. Who hasn't seen Hellier? You need to watch Hellier, because in terms of like high strangeness crossing over into like witchy realms, and
Yeah.
so it's funny. So they use something called, is it the Estes method
Estes
they call?
method. Yeah.
Right. I had been doing that for years before I saw that show.
Oh,
I
no
just didn't know it
way.
has a name. And so what they basically do is like sensory deprivation,
Yeah.
and then you team up with somebody else, and you both, got these kits on, but you end
Yeah.
up talking to each other, through like white noise so you say the word that you hear,
Yeah.
and then they're saying the words that they hear, and it's almost like you become a channel or a conduit for something else. I think frequency has something to do with it. I
Mm.
think it's not just, and I say this because like there are certain frequencies that you can play together that create dissonant and harmonizing tones, and if you play them in the right place at the right time, like it does stuff. That's all I'm gonna say, is it does stuff. I
I
know it
mean,
does stuff. I've seen stuff. Okay.
for people who are
Like,
listening, going on about the tones just really quickly. Sorry, Vic. Like, watch Hellier. Like that just goes even more because they mess around with tones, don't
yeah,
they?
they do.
So just
Yeah.
very, very quickly, for those who don't know, Hellier is a TV show, a documentary series, which you can get on YouTube for free. You can watch both seasons,
It's on their
and
website and you can watch it for
yes,
free.
it
Like
is.
they didn't do it for like big money,
No,
it's crazy.
if you're into high strangeness, synchronicities, the occult, and things of that nature, just give it a watch. I don't want to give too much of away because I went in quite blind when I watched it. I'm not sure about you, Vic, if you had any idea really, but
I didn't know it was going to turn into what it did. And as soon as it did,
yeah.
I was like, I knew it.
Okay, that's what I can say. Yeah,
It
okay, it
started with
starts
goblins, didn't
yeah,
it?
starts with goblins, and then all of a sudden you're going on a synchronicity treasure hunt. That's the best way I can say without giving
Yeah,
anything away. But yeah, just for
yeah.
context, definitely give it a watch because it'll change your life.
If you've ever like researched the whole alien phenomena,
Mm.
and like particularly around the CIA and stuff like that, like that's what it goes into and I just totally wasn't expecting that at all. And I absolutely am not surprised.
No.
Oh, it's so good.
It's
It is.
very unique. It's a very unique
Um,
documentary.
but yeah, I mean, I guess the answer to your question is yes, I do believe that you can open portals at the right astrological time in the right place with the right tones. I just don't know how it works.
I wish we did.
It disappear, right? Because I figured it out.
We'll keep this up as proof.
Oh, it is the thing that I mean, look, I'll share my experience. Should I share my experience?
Oh,
Have we got time
shit,
for that?
whatever you want. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay. I went on like an evening tour. It was meant to be a bit like, ooh, it's like a haunted tour. And this was like back in 2000, I was either 17 or 2018. I'd not long been back in the UK from living in Sweden, and my friend was like, "Oh, I've got tickets to the thing. Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And like I'd visited this manor house before. It's Llancairfawr. Yeah, it's closed down now. They've been trying to keep it open, but anyways, like I've been spiritual for a really long time, and obviously I work with energy. Like I did energy work training when I was quite young, but ghosts was never really something that was on my radar so much. So when she said this, I was like, oh, here we go. And the whole time I was like looking for little speakers behind curtains, looking for like little wires and stuff. But there wasn't anything. Honest to God, there wasn't. And it was like it was a fun tour. They were like, oh, this one room seems to get a lot of activity.
Mm,
And but it's better if there's only a few of you in here. So I think there was like a group of 10 of us. And they were
mm.
like, is a couple of volunteers. And me and my mate was like, we'll do it. And so it was me and my friend, and then two guys that we didn't know that were just from the group. Like their missus was like, "No, I'm not doing it," And so, anyways, they went in the other room, and so it was just the four of us in the, I think it was the master bed chamber,
Okay.
and it was quite an empty room. It had a four-poster bed. It had a big wardrobe on the side, like a little unit. That was it. Like, and it was funny, like, because the first like 2-3 minutes, it was like, oh, and then this guy was like, oh, I think there's like a coal patch here, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, it kind of feels like a coal patch, yeah, but it is an old building. And and then all of a sudden, we all just went really quiet. And I'm looking at this wall on the other side of the room, and it was as if this like big shadow was filling up the whole wall. And as I'm watching it, now what I'm about to describe to you happens in the space of about 20 seconds.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as I'm watching it, and I'm like squinting, and I think we all are, we're like second guessing ourselves,
Yeah.
what we're seeing. This shadow just starts to close in on itself and get denser and denser and denser until it becomes like a solid form, human shape,
Oh.
about 8 foot tall, completely black, like not like it was no longer a shadow, right?
Oh,
It
right.
wasn't
Okay.
like, oh, I can still see the outline of the wardrobe behind this
Yeah.
thing. No, it was solid black.
Oh, wow.
You could have reached out and touched it. And it takes form. It's tall enough that when I'm focusing on its head and shoulders, I can't see its feet. So
Oh,
I
okay.
couldn't tell you. This is important because I can't tell you what was going on in the feet area of this
Yeah.
thing, right? Because I was focusing up here. But when somebody's walking towards you, even in the dark, and you can just see a silhouette, there's
Yeah.
like a there's a step motion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There was no step motion. This thing was just
Oh my
flat.
God.
And it was like gliding towards me. And then when it got about 4 foot away from me, it took a step and then bent over and like, I'm not kidding, put his face there.
Oh, jeez.
And as it did that, my friend screamed and grabbed my arm. The guy next to her ran back out the doorway we came through.
Oh my God.
The other guy was just stood there, and it just disappeared. Like it was just there
Wow.
was no puff of smoke. There was no like it was just as if it never happened. The rest of it, because she screamed and grabbed my arm, so the rest of the group came rushing in.
Oh yeah,
Like,
of
you
course.
okay? What's happened? Did you fall? And we were like,
Oh my God.
and nobody believed us.
Oh, but all four of you had an experience and saw the same thing.
Everybody saw it. I swear to God, if it wasn't for the fact that there were three other people in that room that night, I would have doubted my own sanity. I still had moments. I joined a paranormal investigation team after that. Like, like literally UK ghost hunters. Like we like they had fair play to them. They had some equipment like that
Oh, I
looked like an
bet.
expensive setup. But they had like all this EMF stuff. They had
Mm,
like the stick figure machines that people use. And
nice.
to this day, I can't tell you what it is. I
Yeah,
did have
that's
an
so weird though.
experience where I went into a meditation about a year later and I traveled somewhere. It was like an apple orchard, and I walked down this path, and it was like that guy, but like made of light, but not light
Ooh.
like when you look at a light and it's like you get the glare. It
Yeah.
wasn't like that. It was like
Okay.
just like solid. Kind of looked like your hair, actually.
Oh.
Now I'm looking. But
No, yeah.
yeah, and we walked this path together, and this apple kept appearing in my hand, and I drop it, and then it would be back like a
Okay.
minute later. And we had a whole conversation, and we got to the end of the path, and we stopped, and I turned to it and I said, why can't I see your face? And he just
Mm.
like leaned down and went, because you're not ready yet. And I
Oh,
woke up and no, woke up. I was awake, I came out of the meditation and it was as
yeah.
if my memory had been wiped. Like
Wow.
I don't know what that conversation was, but I know we had a fucking conversation. And
Interesting.
it was as if my memory was completely wiped, and the only part I could remember was being told, because you're not ready yet. So that was like back in 2018, and safe to say things have not got less weird since.
I know, because when you were like, oh yeah, I wasn't really into ghosts, it was like, well, you could have fooled me.
But no, I don't know. The thing is, recently I've had a lot of messages around psychopomp work,
Ooh.
which is a bit odd because I've been very blessed, and I've not touch wood, lost anyone like immediately close. I've felt death getting closer and closer this last sort of 4 years, where I've
Mm.
had, you know, so there's been some acquaintances that passed away, and then the last couple of years I've had a couple of friends pass away. That's like that bothered me, that
Yeah, it
like
gets more and more intense.
and it just feels like it's getting close.
Oh no.
I wish it was to stop it.
Oh,
I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I work really closely with Gwyneth, which
yeah.
he's a psychopomp, and something that I've reflected on a lot. I've been reflecting over the past sort of 3 years, and I do a lot of work in the community. And people who are in the throes of bereavement seem to find their way to my circles,
Mm.
and it like with regularity, even
Interesting.
to the point where I've facilitated at somebody else's retreat.
Yeah.
And it turns out I'm doing this journey, and the two of them are in the throes of bereavement. And yeah, I mean, I don't know where this is going to go. Or I also had like a vision of living in the woods. I mean, who doesn't, right?
Of course.
But in particular, I had a shed out the back in the woods, where people would come and stay when they were grieving.
Oh,
And
okay.
I don't know if it's a past life or if it's a future thing, but I
Ah,
would just bring them soup and just sit there and listen to their stories about their loved
yeah,
ones. And just, I barely did any talking. But it's interesting as well because when I did mental health work, I had periods where I was doing like agency work and stuff, and I had like clients that I would go and visit because, they had a lot of kids and their husband had passed away. So I would go around and I'd help them with their ironing and I'd listen to their stories and, help with
yeah,
cooking and stuff. And it was just really just supporting that bereavement process. So yeah, as I said, I don't know where that's going or if it's going to be a thing in the future, but I don't know. I think there's a lot to be said of the human understanding of death and
yeah,
what it means and how it feels, and it's the great unknown. So I think people do wonder about it, and our relationship as a species certainly over time has changed. Our relationship with death has changed over time.
yeah.
Culture to culture, it's different. It's an interesting, albeit a little bit morbid subject.
Yeah, no, death is interesting. I mean, it's scary ultimately, and it because it's unknown. And as human beings, we hate the unknown. We've just got to know
Yeah,
everything.
it's just a natural aversion.
Yeah.
We're all secretly Virgos on the inside. Like, no, we want to do it this way.
Uh,
Mm,
yeah, death freaks me out. I'm not gonna like you. I haven't had like I've had one or
I
two
feel
family
you.
members when I was young pass,
Mm,
but as an
mm,
adult, not really. Like a couple of friends. I think I had one friend when I was 25 passed away unexpectedly, and we hadn't spoken in a while, but we were good friends, and because we were so young. Like I had gone on a trip to go up the Garth, that day to go up the mountain. I came back and came home to a message to say they had passed, and it was surreal. So I don't have much experience with close death either, but I am
mm.
very scared of it. But
Yeah, I mean, it used to keep me up at night as a kid.
oh
Like, it
yeah,
literally would. If I started thinking about it, that was
too
it. I
much
wasn't going to sleep.
sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's the thing.
having more people around to talk about it, I think, just in a safe space,
Mm,
just to talk, not even to be like, oh, we're all gonna die, but to just to like theorize on it, to
mm,
hypothesize on it. I think that is important, and we need more spaces in a non-clinical sense.
mm.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, just to normalize it
Yeah.
because it is a normal part of life, as scary as it is. I mean, it's just as natural as life. We come into existence and we go out, and just to have a space where that can be talked about without it being all doom and gloom would be nice. It's just how do you get to
Mm,
that point? You mentioned Gwyn ap Neith.
I do.
You did, and he is a psychopomp, but I will let you say more because whereas I know a little of Gwyn, I have my own relationship with Gwyn. It's nowhere near as intricate as yours. I have other deities and other beings who need my attention at the moment. So let's talk about Annwfn, the mystical otherworld of Wales. So, generally, what are your thoughts on Annwfn? Everyone I ask or anyone I read about, they've all got different thoughts on what Annwfn is. No one's is ever quite the same, and I love it. What do you think it is based on your own experiences, your own beliefs, and the Welsh tales you know?
So my knee-jerk reaction is a little bit like it reminds me, or should I say it's the other way around, because I grew up with, tales from the Mabinogi like as a kid.
Yeah.
But when I started to explore the core principles of shamanism,
Mm,
from culture to culture, just, trying to understand the processes, I couldn't help but think of Annwfn in terms of like Axis Mundi vibes.
okay.
Like you can't quite decide if it's an astral realm or if it's actually another realm.
Yeah.
Like, because in the stories from the Mabinogi, nobody has to go on a journey or, go into a meditative state or anything like that to access Annwfn.
Yeah.
It's it's just a change in awareness. Like
Yes.
you'll be walking through the forest and all of a sudden your awareness of the place has changed and things feel different.
Yeah.
I think I told you about a moment over the weekend. So where we made our drums, I had a moment there last year or the year before
Yeah.
where I was in the same place. I hadn't gone anywhere and I wasn't meditating. I was super chill because I was in the mountains and like it was just, well, you've experienced it there. You can't hear
Oh, it's
anything
gorgeous. Oh my
other
God,
than
yeah.
nature. Like nothing, not a single car, nothing.
Natural
And
silence.
yeah, but there's always, you can always hear the wind through the trees or the rustling of grass or some
Yeah.
critter or insect or bird or something. For a couple of years ago, I was up there and it was just like everything shifted.
Mm.
I was with Annwfn actually,
Oh,
so
okay.
corroborating the story. But it was like everything just went for a
Oh.
moment and we were like,
Oh.
and then it just all
Oh.
came back. And it was just like a moment of like, did we just like slip in and out of timelines? Or like
Yeah.
that experience, I feel like that was a tiny experience of maybe what it was like for like Poith, who went into the woods to find the stag that he'd shot. Oh,
Yeah.
not the stag that he'd shot, the stag that his dogs had
Oh,
found.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't his kill, it was a whole chivalry thing. But to
Yeah.
just walk through the forest and just be like, tra la la, my normal forest, going for a stroll, and then all of a sudden you're in the same forest, but everything's different. And for me, that's what Annwfn feels like. It's like kind of like an astral realm, but it's also kind of real. Like, but as you say, it's different for everyone,
Yeah, knows who
but
people ever answer this question the same, and I love it. Like, because like other cultures, they might like they seem to have like the Greek underworld, for example, is always the realm of Hades, where the souls of the dead go. But just to
yeah,
generalize, there's more
it's
to it than
this,
that.
this,
But
this, and this.
yeah,
Yeah.
but with Anuva, nobody can quite like you hear it because we all do it. We'll
Mm.
be like, oh well, it's a physical realm, but it's also not. And then you go into. I love the
Mm.
tangents that people go on with this and how different everyone's answer it is, but also kind of similar at the same time. Like yesterday, me and Stell went up Penavan. I didn't know we were going to be going all the way up because we were doing looking for the source of the tap.
Well, I knew you'd be going all the way.
We didn't quite go to the peak, but we went between Corndy and the Pen y Fan summit, so that little area. It was really misty. We were in the clouds, like we thought we'd get above the clouds, but we were in the clouds. As we were going up, I was saying, this feels like we're traveling into the other world. This feels like we're going into a new one, and we're just because like it was like only up on the mountain because obviously we were in the clouds was this mistiness, but then when we came back down, the vibe was just so different. I've had that a
I
couple of
have a
times.
theory about that with the
Oh,
mist.
do tell. Do tell.
I work with water a lot as well.
Yeah.
And, water has consciousness but also holds memory.
Mm-hmm.
There is no new water on Earth ever.
Ah.
Right?
Mm.
So if you walk into like a mountainscape like that and you're walking through mist, which is essentially water,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you see where I'm going with
Yeah.
this. But like if that water, so right, okay. So this is another thing that Annwfn could be. It could just be the past. It could just
Yeah.
be,
Oh.
right? You know how I was saying about the Fae and like Rhiannon,
Yeah.
being like a fairy woman, but really that could just mean that she's Lemurian, that she's from that
Yeah.
time where they were closer with the earth and still very much part of the earth and able to work with it. So if we have no new water on Earth, water remembers that time.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Of course.
So
Of
you could
course.
you could step through time by walking through mist if you were consciously tapped into the water around you in the
Well,
mist.
we went up there because we were looking for the source of the tap
Looking
because
for
of all the work. Yeah,
water.
and at one point actually, as we were walking, I was saying stuff. I was like, I can sort of imagine, like I wasn't having like a past memory thing, but I was just saying I can sort of imagine how like some old Welsh Celtic like men back in the day, not being old as in like oldie times. They could just be walking through oldie times, but how I really felt like immersed in like the idea of them walking through the mountain and having to like go on a big pilgrimage. The mist was like it was the clouds. I keep saying it's the mist. It was the clouds. We were up in the clouds because
Yeah, but
kind of
clouds is mist.
yeah, I know. But it was just I felt really immersed and like I was in this bubble, this container. But yeah,
Mm.
it was on the search for water. But yeah, like just like
So you
what's
probably
going
were
on?
tapped into that water, and actually, you probably did see a bit of the past.
I really
When you
felt
saw these
it.
guys.
Yeah, no, it was weird. I haven't really had something like that before. But yeah, it was. But I didn't
That's
even
the
think
sort of stuff that I love when I'm, out doing things like that, and just, yeah, having moments like listening to the stones and hearing the past. Like, it's
yeah,
I love those moments.
the best moments. I need to work more with the stones like that, though. I don't get much option or chance to do that, and because I always forget when I'm there, and then
Yeah.
like you'll say it, or I'll hear someone else say, "I'm like, oh, I didn't really spend any time with the stones like that." But that's something I really want to try out because stones are interesting. They're just
But what is
interesting.
your thing though? Maybe water is how, maybe you just need to go out mist hunting.
Oh, I mean, that sounds fabulous.
Not
Honestly, that
hard in
sounds
Wales.
great. I didn't think about it like that either, though. See, well, guys, as usual, Vic's helping me on my own spiritual journey. Right, it unfolds right in front of you. I couldn't make this up, honestly. Always helping me with realizations I didn't know I needed.
Uh, we're just chatting.
I know, and that's
But this is what we do for each other, though. We all do this, We're soundboards and we help each other evolve, and it's through these conversations. It's
yeah,
amazing. I love it.
yeah, I love it too. Yeah, very, very much. Just to round this up, because that is pretty much all the questions I wanted to ask you for right now. You can always come
Okay.
back, you can always come back. And this is something I'm going to ask everybody. So it feels fitting that I'm going to start with you. And it kind of ties into the Annwfn question in a way. What is liminality to you?
Expansion.
Oh, do you care to elaborate? Or
Absolutely. No, it's where everything comes from.
yeah, I agree.
Before everything is everything, it's in a liminal space. So if you want to go somewhere, where you gotta go?
I love the simplicity of that because it's so true, but it's so profound as well. Like people will sit and think about that and be like, "Damn," and just like,
Sorry, you were hoping for a longer answer.
I always
Have
am,
we
but
got time left?
yeah, we've got a bit of time. We've got a little bit. But if you it depends if you want to. If you feel that's the right answer for you, I mean, that's where I'm gonna ask everybody I talk to because the different
Yeah,
perspectives.
I think it's opportunity for expansion. Like if you can utilize liminal spaces, however that shows up in your life, whether that's the liminality of moving from point A to point B, or sunset or sunrise, or if it's in the mist, not quite water, not quite,
Oh my god!
frozen. However that liminality shows up for you, that's where your expansion is. So yeah. You
Unbelievable.
okay?
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I'm just having a freak out. Like this happens all the time, though, as you know. Like that's just the nature of liminality. But yeah, no, I agree. The opportunity for expansion. I've never heard anyone put it like that, and that's given me something to think about. But also, I hope it's given people listening something to think about too. If you have anything else to add, now would be
I
the
think
time.
that's I'm good. Yeah, if anyone wants to like do the whole follow thing on social media.
Oh, definitely. I'll put all socials down in the description, which I assume will be down right now when I upload
Yeah.
it.
I do have the online container if anyone wants to like explore more. and have
Oh,
more
yes.
chats like this. And yeah, it's all very much through the Celtic Welsh cultural lens, very much expansion through exploration of soul memories, through archetypal work, through ritual with the astrology. So it's all those things that I've talked about today, we put into
Yeah.
practice in this container. And I know you'll be in there as
Oh,
well.
I can't
So
wait.
yeah, if anyone wants to join us, please do. It's called Annwfn Within, and
Definitely
it's
should join,
all over
guys.
my social media, and I think it's on yours a little bit as
Yeah.
well.
By the
That'd be
time this
lovely.
episode comes out, it'll be Halloween. So we will have already started, but people can still join, right, Vic, even
Oh
then?
yeah, I mean the monthly, so you get like a members page, and on there every month will be your Welsh
Yeah.
chants, so you get to learn a little bit of Welsh and speak the old language. There'll be instructions and ingredients for rituals that we do live. There'll be some audiobooks, like some bardic retellings of some of the old Welsh myths.
Mm,
And I do a little herb of the month. So this month is mugwort, of course. Yeah, and everything's recorded anyway. So when we do the live rituals and go over the pronunciation of the chants and things like that, all of that's recorded. So you can join at any point and still have access to those. And the whole point with the rituals is that we build on the energy through the month, and
mm,
then we build on it again when we go into the next month because we're working with the sun.
yeah.
So yeah, so working with the sun and any other, should we say, astrological aspects that want to pop up along the journey. So it's very much it's a living thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna roll with it and see where it takes us. But yeah, you can join anytime, really.
No, I'm really excited. Although we're recording a little bit before Samhain, I'm really excited to start and see how this evolves. Come and join us, guys. It will have been out already when this episode is, so come and join us. This
Oh
is not
yeah,
something I
you'll have a
want to
good
miss.
juicy chunk to get into.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll
yeah.
be good. And
We
Gwyn ap
will.
Nudd is our first
Oh yes,
exploration. He's my G. He's my main man.
he's a cool dude. We
So
love
he was
him.
and it's Scorpio season, so naturally we're working with the Psychopomp.
Yeah, it's going to be great, guys. So definitely come and join if you feel called. Follow the call, you know? But thank you for coming on, Vic.
Thank you.
Thank you for being my first guest. It really means a lot to me that it's an actual friend I know in real life who's come on first. I hope for everyone who's been watching, you've enjoyed this and you're looking forward to future iterations of the Liminal Realms. Follow us both down below if you're not already. I've got links there for our Instagrams, our threads, whatever else we're on. It'll all be there. And stay tuned for more from the Liminal Realms. And if you found anything in this particular episode interesting that you'd like to build upon or debate about, or all nice vibes, comment below and we will have a look. But yeah, I'm Mickie and this is Vic, and this was episode 1 of the Liminal Realms. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.